A beautiful, carefree life, crowds of fans. This is how a life of a model is perceived by many. It may seem that it's life on the easy street. You just pose in front of a camera or walk up and down a catwalk. The heroes of today's episode of Generation UA are convinced only perseverance and hard work bring the desired results, because the world of fashion is always highly controversial and for many quite mysterious. For me, being a model means always being in focus, lit by border lights and being shot on camera. The modeling business is a great part of my life. The constant hustle and bustle, castings, shows and photo sessions bring me only pleasure. I get joy and great pleasure from what I do because I'm always in the camera eye and the limelight when I go down the catwalk. In Ukraine, the modeling business as such appeared, of course, after the collapse of the Soviet Union. They say it appeared in Ukraine on the 9th floor of a building on Hrechko. Our models came out of there. After the Soviet Union was no more, we were talking about the fact that Ukrainian girls, Kyiv girls, had gained a good reputation at world beauty contests. In reality, our girls were looking up to such famous models as Cindy Crawford and so on. Indeed, the US used to dictate fashion in a way. Model agencies were developing bit by bit, thanks to the girls who had worked not simply as clothing demonstrators, but real models on catwalks in many countries all around the globe. Just like it was 5 years ago, it's not hard for someone to get into the modeling business because models are constantly in demand. They are always needed. Modeling agencies always need new faces. In order for a person to achieve something, just like in any other field, in the modeling business even more so, perseverance is a must. It means constant castings, promotions, and one must have patience. A person should meet the model requirements to build a successful career. To get into the modeling business, the first prerequisite is height, naturally, and model measurements. For girls, the height starts at 170 centimeters, and if she's to be a catwalk model, 175. For young guys, it's 180 to 195 centimeters.
Как бы это ни звучало, мечтал стать летчиком.
As strange as it may sound, I dreamt of being a pilot, but my life made such a turn that now I am engaged in modeling. It's like a hobby that brings in profit. I have worked professionally for about a year. I took interest in modeling and started learning 2 years ago. My parents say they took me to various actors' castings since childhood, but they didn't take me anywhere. Then one time I managed to get onto a TV show, and that's where it all started. I took a serious interest in it and went to castings more actively. Then I played in a TV show again, and the idea of going to a modeling school crossed my mind. My father reacted to all of this with skepticism, like, how can a guy possibly be a model? My mother was rather skeptical as well, but at least she took it better and supports me. My friends mock me sometimes, like, look, a model. It's not like I get offended. It's even funny. After all, it's always nice to get some attention. I found a lot of good friends. Honestly, most of my friends, they're actually girlfriends. That's right, they're girls.
Точнее, подружки, это девушки.
У меня не было такой определенной цели, что я именно хочу построить карьеру, что именно я хочу стать профессиональной моделью. Это как-то получилось само собой. Я всегда была высокой девочкой, и мое...
I didn't have such a particular aim to build a career, to become a professional model. It happened somehow on its own. I have always been a tall girl, and people around me used to ask if I was working as a model. So I started thinking about that. I grew up. I started to be invited to various castings and cooperate with various model agencies. At first I had mixed reactions to people approaching me, offering me work, because my opinion on that was still, well, I didn't know too much about this industry. Psychologically, it's hard to endure this type of work. It is hard to be a model, particularly from the moral side, because people you meet are not always sincere, and the team isn't always on your side. But for me, those were rare occasions. I met great girls. I often started communicating with many of them much more closely.
Поначалу
Папа с мамой и вообще родственники говорили, что я очень красивая, я могла бы себя попробовать в роли модели.
At first, my dad and mum and generally all my relatives said I am very beautiful and could try myself in the role of a model. And in time I realized that I'm truly interested in modeling. I visited some websites of model agencies. One day on my birthday, a young man approached me in an underground walkway and asked if I'd ever worked in the modeling agency. I replied that I'd never tried doing that, so he offered me to try myself as a model. Dad insisted on me trying. I had a photo shoot and was very pleased with the result, so I decided to continue working in this sphere.
И результат мне очень понравился, поэтому я решила продолжить.
На самом деле огромное количество.
In fact, there is a huge number of modeling agencies in Ukraine, not only in Kiev and other cities with a population of more than 1 million, but in small towns as well. There are also a lot of modeling schools. However, if we are talking about further development of a model in this business, one should look for modeling agencies that not only have schools offering modeling subjects, so to speak, but also schools that work on progression of models in the future. In Europe and the US, it is a rare situation when a modeling agency has a school, because if they find a girl who fits a certain criteria, like age, height, or some specific archetype, then the agency is ready to invest in the creation of a book, creation of a portfolio, and will work with each model individually. In our country, there is no such possibility. Say we invest money, but the human factor intervenes. She changes her mind. In Kiev, it's almost impossible to earn the amounts of money required to pay for each girl. Therefore, we cannot invest in archetypes.
У меня знакомая есть девушка, подруга.
I have an acquaintance, a girl, a friend. She's a model. She used to tell me to go, supported me and spurred me into action. She gave me contacts of several modeling schools. I looked them up on the internet, started reading reviews and went to some interviews. Finally, I chose one of the schools. I paid for courses, invested money and started learning. We had classes, a photo class, modeling business basics, dietology and also choreography. The photo class was difficult at first because I had no experience. I didn't know how to stand correctly, how to turn right, or how to look at the camera. I even got shy when someone looked at me funny in the subway, or if someone laughed, just some random people laughing. They made me think that they were laughing at me, and it was no joke. They looked at me and laughed. There were such situations, but they probably weren't even thinking about me, perhaps didn't even notice me, but I thought so nevertheless. After finishing the school, I became more self-confident. I realized that people who mocked me and tried to somehow humble me were actually at the bottom themselves. I began working on myself and started losing weight. I don't really like to recall that. It was a turning point in my life. I lost about 10 kilograms, grew in height, and my measurements decreased.
Было мне очень интересно дефиле.
I found defile very interesting because when I just started at the school, I didn't know how to do it right. I did not even realize how many nuances there were, how exactly one should walk. It all seems easy. You just go and walk. In reality, it is very hard work to get it right. In the classes, I had trouble doing certain things, but generally, I tried hard, and I saw that girls just like me were around. Some of them were doing better than me. Some were on the same level. Some things I initially had trouble doing, but in time, after working on themselves, everybody got everything right.
Существует много мифов, что вот быть моделью это очень круто.
There are many myths that being a model is very cool. You can earn a lot of money, gain some popularity. I agree, but only with a half of that, because you will earn only when you will have shown yourself.
Исключительно тогда, когда ты покажешь себя.
Существуют модельные типажи для девушек. Это baby face.
There are girl model archetypes. Those are baby face, strong and commercial face. Baby face is the archetype of Natalia Vodyanova. We can say they are blonde girls with light eyes and puffy lips. For the strong archetype, Brunettes or chestnut hair with pronounced cheekbones and dark or light eyes preferred. Commercial means basically any archetype, simply beautiful. This is called a commercial model. This involves mostly shooting faces. The girls in Ukraine are very beautiful, and everybody knows that, but the most common is baby face. These are girls with a clean record. You can make her into anything. Abroad, baby face and strong face are in demand. They account for probably 1% of the modeling business, especially as it pertains to albino models.
Это люди, модели альбиносы.
After one of the shows, my hair was dyed blonde, and I believe it's an advantage because if I go by wearing my natural color, nobody will remember me, whereas with blonde hair, I stand out from the crowd, catch the eye, and make people remember me. One time before a show, backstage, I was very nervous, but as soon as I went out on the catwalk, the atmosphere was just great. When you walk and everyone is looking at you, there's light at the end of the catwalk. It brings inspiration for self-improvement, working harder, visiting castings and so on.
По кастингам и так далее.
Перед кастингом у меня есть капля волнения, потому что, в любом случае...
Before a casting, I always worry a little, because anyway, there's a chance to succeed or to fail. I worry about how I will show myself. I worried more at my latest casting. It was a casting for the showing of underwear. This was the first time for me, and because of that, I was worried the most. I was afraid of getting shy in front of the viewers.
Процесс подготовки к какому-то кастингу.
The preparation process for any casting or photo shoot is difficult for me because I don't yet take part in such events very often, and it's hard for me to steer myself and to stop worrying.
Настроить еще, перестать волноваться.
На самом деле ажиотаж по поводу того, что ребята хотят быть моделями,
Actually, the excitement about people wanting to be models is still there. Some are just afraid. Some think they will spend money on school, and the only thing the agency want is to make money from the school. But if they approach this smartly, they analyze, look up agencies, and estimate their potential. Then they come to an agency. Nobody will knock on your door and say, "Hey, you're the best, let me deal with you." No, one should keep track of castings. Go there, behave properly, wear proper clothing, prepare properly, talk clearly and properly, know your features. One mustn't be tense or shy.
Нужно правильно одеться на него, нужно правильно подготовиться, нужно правильно разговаривать, нужно знать свои параметры, а не там зажиматься и стесняться.
У меня сейчас цель привести еще
I've got a purpose to bring myself into even better shape, to get some experience. I have a goal to fly somewhere in China, Korea, or somewhere there, generally somewhere in Asia. I would like to walk the street and for people to turn their heads, saying, "God, that's the model, Ihor Novik." For me, that would be very cool. In fact, awesome.
С детства я знала, что я должна сама добиться какой-то...
Since I was a child, I have known I had to achieve something in my life and career. I hadn't thought about modeling at that time. I just knew I had to stand firmly on my own feet. I think I am yet to succeed. Everything is still ahead.
В будущем я мечтаю участвовать.
In the future, I dream of taking part in events abroad to show the entire world what Ukraine is and how beautiful Ukrainian girls are.
Девушки там.